Afternoon all. Are we flagging yet?
Good.
We're good? That's what I'd like to hear. That's what I hear. So as Jenny said, my name's Adrian Matthews. I work for MetLife. I'm the head of employee benefits or group risk, however you want to call it, for MetLife, both in here and in the UK, here and in Europe. And my topic today is the rising trend of staff absence that we're seeing. And in the next 20 minutes, hopefully, as well timed as Stephen's, I'm going to tell you some home truths about the UK workforce. I'm going to offer some simple checks and solutions that you could perhaps take with you in addressing issues that you might be seeing in your workforce. And finally, I'm going to leave you with a potential solution that could help redress some of the absent trends that we've been seeing today and that do not break the bank. And that last 3 or 4 words is really crucial, because it was only 3 months ago I actually sat on a panel with Jenny, and I suggested that one of the big things that's affecting businesses, big and small, is rising cost, and that got unanimous support around the room. So I think that has to be taken into context. That's me. What I want to do is I want to join the dots with what we're seeing in the employment market and in long-term absence trends as well. So it's important to note that all of the information you see here is publicly available. So I'm going to contend that the UK market is recovering from a shallow recession. It's growing by 0.something%, I think, is according to which stat you link into. I'm also going to say that the Office of National Statistics, the ONS, reporting that unemployment it's reached its highest levels in over 2 years, about 4.3, 4.4%. But they also revealed, this is the ONS, also revealed that more than a fifth, 22% of the working age population are economically inactive. And that staggered me. And what all of that means is that businesses are struggling to recruit the right people with serious consequences. And you as HR people are in the front line for that. So the macro picture is pretty bleak. But I say that it's this picture, this long-term sickness picture, that we should be really worried about. I mean, look at the graph. Either side, 2.8 million people who cannot work due to long-term sickness, and that trend, you haven't already can't see the scale. That trend has skyrocketed since 2020, since the pandemic, and of course there's growing pressure on government, on public services, and on employers to help address those rising levels. Now, this slide shocked me. I simply asked, who are these people who are long-term sick? So according to the various reports, young workers are presenting more mental health issues. The over 50s in ill health are actually choosing to retire as opposed to coming back to work. And the study by the TUC just recently said that the top reason for women not working, I mean, a few years ago, it used to be caring responsibilities, whether that's childcare or relative care, but now ill health has overtaken that. So in summary, it's basically everyone is affected by it. So what? Why do we need to be concerned? Well, it's bad for the economy. It leads to reduced productivity and a higher welfare bill. It's bad for the employer. We I mean, I run an SME business in effect, part of a big multinational, but it's an SME business. And I can't afford to lose skilled staff members. I can't allow a reduction in diversity. And I simply can't afford higher sick bills and lower productivity. And let's not forget that it's also bad for the individual. That shift from employed to long-term sick means that they lose earning potential, yeah, sure, but they also lose dignity, because not one really wants to be off from work on a long-term basis. And if it needs spelling out in numbers, I mean, honestly, when you get to this size of numbers, you could start picking holes in. I could pick holes in some of these numbers, but you get the gist of it. It impacts the economy as a whole. It impacts the individuals that are off work, and it has a massive impact on employers that have to bear the brunt. This source of data is the CIPD, which I presume most of you are aware of in the room. I'm getting lots of nods, that's good. Health and Wellbeing reports produced at the back end of last year. But honestly, you could ask insurers. You've got MetLife here, I've seen Unum out there, I've seen Aviva out there. You could ask the insurers and they would all tell you the same thing. The three biggest causes of sickness are mental health, stress, that sort of thing, musculoskeletal issues, and cancer. Those rankings can move about a bit. I actually checked with MetLife's UK's own stats this morning, and at number 1 we have mental health, at number 2 we have cancer, and number 3 we have MSK. But the rankings move, but they are the 3 big buckets. And we can't do much about minor ailments, minor illnesses, if you like, that, you know, headaches, colds, that sort of stuff. They're unavoidable to some extent, inevitable. But early intervention for things like mental health and things like MSK, musculoskeletal, can help prevent turning short-term absences into long-term absences. And that's important. I'm going to talk a bit more about early intervention in a while. But that's okay. If we get sick, I'll go and see someone. Well, I think you've probably heard it already more than once today. Fun fact number 1, you will wait to see your GP, or rather your employees will wait to see their GP. Access to primary care is under pressure. Nearly half of people have to wait at least a week, and scarily 5% have to wait more than a month. And honestly, if you're worried about your health or your symptoms, your mind is not on your work. Fun fact number 2, let's assume you get to see a GP. Then you're going to wait for treatment. Waiting lists have grown since the pandemic. I've heard various figures today, but you know, I'm going to say at least 7 million, over 7 million waiting, and scarily more than 300,000 waiting for over a year. And my third fun fact, if you can call it that, survey by my good friends at Willis. I'm not sure if anyone from Willis is in the room. No, I can talk about them then. They found that 63% of organisations said a lack of manager capability was actually hampering that return to work, that management of absence. So, are we thoroughly depressed? Are we despondent? I mean, I did tell you at the start I was going to give you some home truths, but I promise it gets better from here on in, right? Now, I go old school, right? So I want a show of hands. Who in this room gets provided with group life insurance? I do? Right, good. Keep your hands up, what about group income protection insurance? Yeah, that's great. Private medical? Yeah. Critical illness? Yeah. Look, that's just about everybody, I think, in this room gets. And this is my first tip, right? Go back to the office and check what you've already paid for. Speak to your insurer, whether that's MetLife or anybody else, and find out from them what is available. Get them to explain it, and then demand, and that's a strong word, but demand that they come and show your staff that. Why? Because I'm going to say that you've probably already got access to a free virtual GP. So that's 24/7, 365 phone number. So you don't have, or your employees don't have to worry about phoning up the GP surgery at exactly 8 a.m. every Monday morning. Yeah. You also probably got a free EAP, an employee assistance program. Again, 24/7 normally, 365. It gives access to employees for so much information, not just health, but about legal, financial, all that sort of stuff as well. And you might even get free and engaging health information, webinars, that sort of stuff. All of the other stuff that's packaged up as part of your offerings. All of those services are aimed at being preventative. They're helping support and triage illness and injury, because if it gets too bad, it's going to help speed up those referrals through to your GP or through to eventual treatment. The other thing I'd say, and it has been said again before today, communicate. Don't just tell the staff on day one or at interview what they've got. You've got to keep telling them, and keep up the dialogue with your insurers, because insurance are buggers like that. They keep adjusting their proposition, and you need to keep aware of it. And just to prove what I've said, the ABI published a report 2 months ago that reinforced that these services are valuable, they are widespread, and they're increasing in popularity amongst your workers. And that brings me on to my second tip, group income protection. Because I know that a lot of you have got it, because I saw 2 hands going up when I asked about that, so that was good. So I know that a lot of you have got this benefit. I also know that a lot of you will not be realising its full value. So, to recap, let's take a step back. Group income protection provides a full suite of services that are intended to keep an employee in work or rapidly get them back to work after illness. But if they're so seriously ill, they're unable to work, it provides a safety net at the back end of a monthly payment after what we call a deferred period or a waiting period. All right? But the aim is to keep people in work and get them back to work quickly. Got it? Yeah, I've got some nods. That's good. Thank you. Now, this is the only figure in this deck that comes out of MetLife. 96% of our claims are resolved within that wait period if we're informed of the illness within the critical first 4 weeks. Early intervention. Or put it another way, only 4% of the claims we see actually go past the waiting period. Critical phase. How is that possible? How do you do that? Magic? Because we roll out early intervention. We've got a suite of services. They're delivered. They're supported by specialist clinical case managers who work with the employer and the employee to enable a safe and sustainable return to work. The story is simple, right? It's like early intervention works because it reduces absence duration. That means less costs incurred by you during the period of sickness, because it's the employer that pays off the sick pay in that period. And it also reduces the number of claims, which, I'll be frank, keeps insurers happy. We don't want to see insurance premiums going up and up, or maybe up and down on a year-on-year basis. It's not helpful for you as you're selling the message up, and it's not helpful for your finance director's blood pressure either, he said, being a previous finance director. So you've got to intervene early with these things, and if that's not enough, then very often all of these things come with very streamlined access to professionals like your GPs, who we've already covered off. You have to wait more than a week to see. And again, if you don't believe me, go and have a look at grid.org.uk. they actually published a report 2 to 3 months ago that was saying that 8,000 people in the UK were helped back to work by early intervention in 2023 alone. Now, that's not all MetLife, that's my competitors as well, but it's a staggering story. Now, I know what you're saying. Yeah, but this all sounds too good to be true, and it sounds very expensive. Well, it can be expensive if you don't utilise the early intervention, and it can also work out expensive if you over-insure as well. So, nice little graphs here taken from data from Swiss Re. Back in 2011, the majority of insurance, and that's the dark blue segment, was through to C stage. So that's basically when the employee starts to receive their pension. But that has shifted, and now most of the insurance protection, insurance, is for a limited or a fixed term, usually up to 5 years. And that's that light blue segment. And why? Why that shift? Well, I think it's threefold. One is because most employers realise that their staff stay with them for about a maximum of 4 or 5 years. I'm looking for, yes, I've got nods around again. I've just proven that most people get back to work within 6 months in that wait period. And because I think the third reason is because I think employers have realised this has actually maximised the value of insurance as well. And the thing that amazes me is that dark blue segment, those are the employers that are still insuring their staff for 30 or 40 years worth of salary. I don't get that. I'm not trying to explain it. You can help explain it to me afterwards. And this is the third point of my presentation. This sort of protection doesn't have to cost the earth. You can achieve a 50, 60, 70, 80% reduction in costs if you opt for shorter term insurance. But remember, you get all of those same early intervention services. You get all of the benefit from reduced costs associated with claims and you managing your long-term absences. And you benefit from increased productivity, increased diversity, and the retention of talent within your workforce. To me, that's a no-brainer. I think the only person who would object to it would be my FD, because if everyone switched to limited term, my premiums would go down, my revenue would go down. But he's not here, so I can gloss over that. So I think that group income protection is a hidden gem. Strangely, the take-up is still lower than a simple life insurance. We saw up front that most companies have life insurance. And I'm really not sure what that is, because the services that are provided by income protection are absolutely aligned with the crisis that we're in today. So my 3 takeaways on income protection. Insurance that focuses on prevention as opposed to cure really does exist. It is proven to help people stay in work and recover quickly, and it can be bought for a relatively small sum in terms of the value it delivers. So to close, to give the poor lady heart palpitations at the back. No, it's fine. Let's get right back to the beginning, right? Is rising staff absence the new normal? That was the title of the presentation. Well, according to the ONS graph at the front, I'd say it certainly looks that way, but I don't think that's acceptable. I do not think that that is acceptable. My plea to you is just twofold. One, when you get back to the ranch, go and review the insurance that you've actually got. Go and look at the services that come with it, because there will be tools and services in there that you have purchased but you're not adequately using. And secondly, if you want a solution that helps keep your staff in work and returns them back to work up to 96% of the time, that solution already exists. And with that, 30 seconds left on the clock. I'm closing. Thank you all.
Immaculate timing, thank you. We don't have any questions on Slido at the moment. Are there any questions from the floor that anybody would like to ask? Please raise your hand. Yes.
I just wanted to clarify, I understand the services available from the one side in terms of the life insurance, but what you're saying that for income protection, it's not so much going to the provider and asking what services they have, but more reclassifying what it is that you're covering for the income protection. Is that right?
I think with income protection, we actually provide a range of services, so it's tailored. With group life, and it's as a sad truth, we pay out a cheque when someone dies, yeah, and it's pretty binary. With income protection, every illness is different. So if someone has got a complex break, we will roll out, somebody who's good in orthopedics. If someone's got a mental health issue, we will run out trained counsellors that are bespoke for their condition. So if you phoned up and you would have a different case manager for each according, and that's all bundled within the cost. And the reason why we bundle that in the cost, and I'll be honest, if I'm paying claims out for 30 or 40 years, it costs a lot of money. If I make 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 visits, not me personally, be glad to hear, to an employee or an employer, that saves me a bundle of money at the back end. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Round of applause again.
Thank you.